I used to be obsessed with men. I wouldn't ever admit that to anyone because of how pathetic it sounds, but I was, and it's the truth. I was obsessed with being desired by men. I was consumed with finding a boyfriend, finding love, being chosen. Whether it was the few guy friends I had in high school who I had huge secret crushes on, who'd ask other girls out but never me, or watching TV shows and movies of other young high schoolers in love, I learned when I was younger that boys want to date other girls and not me. I remember the moment I finally became desirable. The first frat party I ever went to in college. I made out with a stranger in the house, got his number, and he asked me to come over sometime later. I made up excuses to not come over because I was nervous about hookup culture, but I found his desire for me to be fulfilling, at least in the moment. Because I realized I could be desired, that I could be a part of the dating pool. I went to more frat parties seeking to be found, to be wanted, to be kissed. I felt more satisfied than before, but I didn't realize how ephemeral it all was. Over the years, I joined the dating pool via dating apps, kissing and having sex with strangers and giving myself to almost anyone who'd give me any amount of attention. I felt more hollow, but also unable to escape the chase. I thought if I acted a certain way, wore certain things, and tweaked my personality in ways which I convinced myself were still authentic to who I was, but a better version of myself, that a man would finally want to date me. I chased my future boyfriend constantly while disguising myself as someone who liked being single. It was like a slot machine. Every time I got inches away from what I wanted, it only made me want it more. No matter how hard I tried to barter my body, my time, my expectations and desires for a relationship, I never got what I wanted. I didn't understand why no one wanted to be with me for more than just a hookup. I knew I wasn't perfect, but I couldn't comprehend how I could be this unlikable. I told myself I liked situationships and to be friends with benefits in order to feel some amount of confidence or ownership over my constant single status. It was how I justified being rejected. I traveled after college and continued to barter my body for fragments of love, because truly all I ever wanted was to be loved. Eventually, hookup culture came to feel traumatic because I realized that I was treating my body like a commodity. I was groomed to give men what they wanted, telling myself that it was what I wanted too. I learned to devalue my wants and needs, constantly compromising my desires for others. I was treating love and sex and romantic attention like a horrible drug, a drug that would give you the slightest high but would leave you with an everlasting low. A drug that kept you coming back over and over again even though it caused you so much pain. It was compulsive and I could not stop. When I dated men, I learned to not have needs. I learned to be the chill girl who had zero expectations from any kind of relationship, and that was normal and okay. I learned that their sexual desires mattered more than my own. I learned to be okay with never expecting to be someone's girlfriend, and if I did want to be someone's girlfriend, it would require me to squander any emotional, physical, and mental needs any regular adult would have in a partnership. I learned that I was supposed to be okay with men only valuing me for my body, and that any amount of needs may be too difficult to bear. All I wanted was to be loved, and I thought that if I learned to accept complete disregard, neglect, and unhappiness, then maybe I would finally find it. I took a vow of celibacy for a year. I needed time to clear my mind and cleanse myself from the addiction that was gambling to receive love from men. I knew I'd had an interest in women for about half of this dating time, but I hardly pursued women because dating men was conventional and felt easier. As someone who is bisexual, the compulsive heterosexuality of our culture made me feel like my interest towards women was a choice. I knew I liked men before I liked women. When I tell someone I was interested in women, it was met with skepticism, questions, or disinterest. And it's easier to date men since there are more straight and bi men out there than there are queer women. The social, sexual, and romantic scripts for dating men have already been written. The box limits you in how you act, but frees you due to its guidance. You can go on autopilot, for better and for worse. When dating women, there are far fewer social scripts to follow, which in its own accord is freeing and limiting. Limiting because it can feel like the Wild West in uncertain territory. The fear of not knowing how to act, not having instructions that have been projected to you through TV shows, movies, music, and the people around you. But freeing because there are no rules. You have to navigate what can feel like uncharted territory, but once you get there, you can be 100% of who you are. I put off dating women for years, simply hoping to kiss them when drunk, because I felt obligated to date men. If I have the option to date any gender, shouldn't I choose the seemingly easier one? After many confusing, heartbreaking, neglectful, lackluster, performative, and hurtful experiences with men, yes, I've had a few positive experiences too, I felt forced to lean further into my queerness. Isn't the definition of insanity trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? On one hand, I am glad to have been pushed into my bisexuality due to my experiences with men. But on another hand, I wish I'd felt comfortable to be more actively queer because of positivity rather than negative experiences. I do know that decent and good men are out there, but the bar is low and the number is not plentiful. The vast majority of men have not educated themselves enough on the plight of women. They have not sought out books from lesbians, from black women, from indigenous women, from trans women and disabled women. They believe they treat the genders equally, but they don't intentionally consider how our society has been constructed to the benefit of men at the disadvantage of everyone. Too many men are not proactive to fight for our rights, to contemplate how the world shapes who we are, how capitalism and colonialism give birth to patriarchy and misogyny. So I've been dating my girlfriend for a year now. Things have felt natural and easier with her than any man I've ever dated. Easier in the sense that I don't have to educate her about feminism, about capitalism, about how to clean the dishes, about how passivity means siding with the oppressor. I don't have to be ashamed of my stuffed animals on the bed, and I don't have to worry that my body will be taken advantage of. I never had to worry that if I asked her to ask me for consent, she would actually do that instead of ignoring me like almost every other man always did. I learned that it's okay to date women as a bisexual woman, that what you thought you wanted might be entirely different from what you actually do want. I learned that I actually do like holding hands with a woman in public, even though it made me uncomfortable in the beginning. The discomfort I felt initially was only the fear of me facing my own reality that I was in fact queer. The discomfort was me actually coming out of the closet instead of just putting one foot out the door. I learned that if someone loves you, you will feel it instantly. That you may have fights and disagreements, but you know that both of you want to reach a middle ground instead of one person waiting for you to just get over it and refusing to meet you halfway. I learned that you will never have to bargain your body for affection because respect is paramount for love. I learned that the anxiety I felt when we first started dating was largely due to pulling myself out of the heterosexual script that was forced down my throat for as long as I could remember. It's uncomfortable going against the grain, at least in the beginning it is. But in the end, when you freed yourself from the constraints of heterosexuality, you feel so relieved. I learned that the reason why I didn't like introducing the men that I dated to my friends, and why if I did I usually felt embarrassed, was because all along I knew that deep down none of them were right for me, and perhaps none of them ever could be. Instead of continuing to date men due to the sunk cost effect of continuously giving it a go and getting hurt in the process, I slowly tore myself out from that black hole of dissatisfaction. I love my girlfriend. I love how she loves me, and I love how all of our friends love us individually and together. I love knowing that I have a partner and not someone that I simply call a partner, in the hopes that if I say it enough, then maybe it'll finally come true. We laugh, we dance, we are silly and kooky and support each other in our endeavors and hold each other accountable for creating a life that is better for us. Our love is honest and true and everlasting, and I feel so comfortable around her. Love shouldn't hurt you. Love should make you feel confident and respected and happy and content. Love isn't a slot machine. It isn't gambling. It's not some ephemeral high with an everlasting low. Love is beautiful and kind, and I will always thank my girlfriend for loving me. Because of her, I learned that I could actually be loved for 100% of who I am, instead of trading off certain aspects of my personality in the hopes that somebody would love me. Because of her, I learned what healthy love is, and I learned to never accept an impure or toxic form of love ever again. I learned who my most authentic, happiest, and fulfilled self was.